On today's video, we are going to be making over 4 thrifted items into gorgeous spring decor. A few weeks ago, I went to the thrift store and I got all of this stuff under $20. It seems like it was only $13 or $14, but I picked up this ceramic duck for only 50 cents. It had this lovely ribbon on it that I immediately took off, and I knew that it would be perfect to make over. The first thing that you always want to do with your thrifted items is give them a good clean. A lot of times I run them through the dishwasher or I put them in the sink, but this time I'm just using a Clorox wet wipe to make sure to get off all that sticky residue and any dirt and grime that might be on this piece. Today we're going to transform this duck into a gorgeous high-end piece of art. The first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to coat this entire duck with Kissing Booth from DIY Paint. Now, Kissing Booth is a clay-based chalk paint, and it does have to be sealed. So the first thing that we're going to do next is we're going to take out this new IOD mold called Blossom. It is a gorgeous, delicate, intricate mold with blossoms of florals. It looks like a cherry blossom to me. That's just what I see, but they're gorgeous florals on little twigs or stems. So we are going to be adding this mold or the castings from this mold to the duck. So the first thing that you want to do is take out some cornstarch. I keep it in this container, and you just want to put it onto into your mold. I wasn't quite sure which ones I wanted to use first, so I went ahead and just put it into several different of these different stems and florals. My name is Emily. If you've been here before, welcome back. And if this is your very first time, welcome. Either way, if this is your first time or you've been here before, I'm so happy that you decided to watch this video and spend your time here with me today. So now what I'm doing is I'm taking some of my air-dried clay. You just saw my son bring me my brayer. I told him to get that rolling pin thing out of my box, and he knew exactly what it was, so he brought it to me. That's why it shot in there like that. This is the first time that I've watched this video, so it gave me a good laugh. So this mold is very intricate and delicate, and normally I would use resin on this mold, but I didn't have the time to let it cure overnight, so I'm using this air-dried clay. Now this is going to be a little experiment for me because normally I don't use air-dried clay on this type of mold. I use it on molds that are just, a little bit easier, not so many little delicate pieces. So all I'm doing is I'm just pressing it gently down into the mold, and then I'm going to use my brayer to push it down even further and even it out. Air dry clay is exactly what it sounds like. It dries in the air. It does not have to be fired or anything like that. So now I'm just smoothing out the top with my brayer. If you're interested in purchasing any of these products that you see in today's video, I'm going to link them in the description for you. So when you hit the link, it'll take you right to my website and you can purchase any of these. So now what I'm doing is I'm turning it over and I'm gently and delicately trying to remove this mold this casting from the mold. Oops, I got a little bit off camera. So a little bitty piece came off of it, one of the little leaves, but it doesn't matter. I'm going to be able to just glue it right onto the piece and it'll be just fine. So like I said, I'm trying to clean it up a bit. And I didn't mention earlier, but the cornstarch helps it from sticking and allows the clay to be removed easier from the mold. So now that I have it here, I'm going to take my Tight Bond Quick and Thick glue and I'm going to glue it or add the glue to the back of the casting, and then I'm going to spread it around. After I spread it around, I'm going to add it to my piece. Using air dry clay with this mold, you have to be very careful because like I said, it's very delicate. So you might want to use resin on this mold. Okay, so now you just want to gently press it. Remember that the air dry clay is still bendable or moldable, so you don't want to press too hard, but you just want to press it down so it attaches. And now I'm attaching the next piece. And next I'm going to add one more piece. So what are y'all thinking of the new IOD release? Are you enjoying it so far? Have you received your items and have you started crafting? I know a lot of you have made purchases from me, and I really appreciate all of your support. Whether you watch the videos, you like the videos, you make comments, or if you purchase from me, either way, I really appreciate you being here. And I hope that you are enjoying your new projects with your new products. And I would love to see what you've been making. If you didn't know, I have a free group that you can join. It's called J. Bowen and Company Creative Group. And you can share your ideas and projects and tips and tricks, and you can meet other like-minded people. And if you haven't joined or subscribed to this channel, I would love for you to subscribe. I have no idea what you're waiting for. It's perfectly free, so it's not going to cost you one thing to hit that subscribe button. I can see the analytics, and about 50% of you that are watching are not subscribing, so I'm talking to you guys. Y'all go ahead and hit that subscribe button. You help my channel grow. I was really wanting to get to 5,000 subscribers by March, and I'm almost there. So if y'all could help me out by hitting that subscribe button, and then also hit that notification bell, because I've got a lot of great projects coming up, and I would love for you to see those videos. You don't want to miss out on my upcoming videos. I'm now gently cleaning it up, any excess clay, with a Q-tip. You can also use anything that's kind of sharp, but I didn't want to mess up the paint. So the next thing I'm doing is I'm taking that Kissing Booth paint again, and I'm going to cover up the flowers. Now this doesn't have to be perfect, because this is the bottom layer of my piece. I went ahead and painted this clay when it was still wet, but you need to understand that when it dries, you may have a little bit of shrinkage. I now took out Pennies from Heaven. It is a copper color from DIY. This is actually a top coat. It does not require a sealer. So I'm going to paint the bottom first, and then I'm coming in with a pointed paintbrush in order to get right into the different crevices of that mold. It's important to use a pointed paintbrush if you want to get into the details. I also carry all of these paintbrushes, a multitude of different paintbrushes. These are DIY paintbrushes, but I carry different brands of paintbrushes on my website as well. And if you haven't invested in some good paintbrushes, it's well worth it. It makes all of your projects even better. So I would recommend investing in some good paintbrushes. Okay, so the reason I painted it Kissing Booth first was because when you paint something a pink color, a bright pink or red or orange color, it makes the copper or gold show up even better. Also, you won't have to apply as many coats of either the gold or the copper color from DIY. So now I'm applying the second coat, and it basically has full coverage, but even if some of the pink pops through, it still looks really pretty. I'm now taking out a wax, which is called Shipwrecked, from DIY, and I'm adding it on top of this copper color. I'm just going to add and then wipe it off with a paper towel. I always like to do the bottom of my projects first, so that if it messes up in any way. The bottom is what gets messed up and not the top. Okay, so now I am taking out this wax again. This is going to give this piece an aged look. It's a gorgeous turquoise color. I'm just trying to get it down into all of the details of these blossoms, and then I'm wiping it away with a paper towel. The paper towel though won't get as much wiped off, and I didn't want it to look blue, so I'm coming back with a wet wipe and I'm going to wipe away most of the excess blue color so it still looks copper. So what are y'all thinking about this project so far? I hope you're enjoying it, and I'm hoping you can see how you can take a basic item from the thrift store and turn it into a high-end piece of art. This is the Blossom mold, and if you like this duck, how it turned out, please give me a thumbs up and consider subscribing to my channel. The next project is this little bracelet holder. I also bought it for 50 cents. It was on sale for half off because this store is going out of business. It was just a basic little bracelet holder, and I'm going to make it over for my daughter using the Vintage Brooches mold. So I already casted several of these vintage brooches with some resin. They're already dried, and I'm just going to glue it onto my piece with that Titebond Quick and Thick, and then I set a weight on top of it, and now I'm using this kissing booth again. I thought it would be pretty, and I thought that it would be pretty in pink for my daughter. I was going to add some florals to this piece, but she just informed me, she's 10, her name is Bowen. She just informed me that she, quote, does not like flowers, so she didn't want to add any flowers on top of this piece. I was going to put some right there on the top of the piece. Off camera, I painted 2 coats of the golden ticket from DIY. I didn't think that y'all needed to see that because you just saw me do the copper color from DIY. So now I am opening up this Insignia stamp. It is a 6x6 package, and then it has 4 sets of these stamps that are perfect for monogramming. It has a cursive letter set, a regular printed set, and then 2 of these gorgeous little frames. Now I thought that I would put just 1 initial on this brooch. Now she wanted me to put 3, so it's a little bit more difficult for me. So the first thing that you want to do when you take out a stamp set is you need to take some fine sandpaper and gently rub it over your stamp set, and then you're going to wipe it clean. And the reason you do that is so that the ink adheres to your stamp better. Okay, so her initials are JBC, and I want y'all to know that these letters are pretty small, so they're a little bit more difficult to hold on to, but they're not hard. So now I'm just kind of trying to design this and see how I should put this together. I'm now just taking each letter individually, and then I'm going to ink them up, and then I'm going to add them to this brooch. Now it's a little bit more difficult because it's a curved surface, and I'm actually putting the stamp on the curve versus on a flat surface. On a flat surface, easy peasy. On a curve, a little bit more difficult. But now that's all I'm doing. It's not hard, so don't be afraid of it or anything. I'm just telling you that you just have to be more careful when you're holding onto these little letters, and then you want to wash them off and then immediately put them back in your set, or you could lose them because they are small. But luckily they come in the little envelope, and then the little envelope fits perfectly back into that little box. So now I'm just putting her monogram, her initials right there on this brooch. I then took a wet Q-tip while the ink was still wet, and I wiped off a little bit where it had gotten on the edge of that letter. Once the ink dries, it is permanent. However, you could go back with your paint and touch it up if you needed to. So now I'm just going to glue this piece back together. DIY paint is a clay-based chalk paint, so it does have to be sealed. If you don't seal it, it can be reactivated by water. So you need to seal it, and I am using the liquid patina, which is a sealer. You could also use Big Top or wax. Any of those sealers would work to seal in the DIY paint. If it had been up to me, I would have added a floral transfer on the top, but it's hers, so she didn't want that. So now I've just added some bracelets. So what do y'all think of that vintage brooches mold? Isn't it gorgeous? Off camera, I added some of that shipwrecked wax as well. Okay, this next project is very quick. It is a stool that I purchased way out of style. It's got the ugly fabric. I found this really cool floral vintage fabric. I painted this stool in the kissing booth. I'm not going to make you sit through that. Added that fabric, and here is the final reveal. If you like how this stool turned out, y'all give me a thumbs up, and I want y'all to let me know which one of these projects is your favorite. The next project is this little wooden hobby horse. It had been in my booth for a good while. It never sold. I really thought it would have sold because it was really cute. But I took out some vintage Laurel milk paint and I painted this up. If y'all saw my first video, I actually painted this back then with the other projects, but the way you're going to use milk paint is you're going to take some warm water and you're going to mix it with the milk paint. If you follow the package directions, it's going to be pretty thin, so I usually use less water than called for. But that's how I usually like to do it. And then you're just going to give it a good stir, and you need to let it sit there for 10 to 15 minutes before you use it. But you let it sit there, and then you're going to stir it up again. Then you're going to just paint several coats of milk paint onto your piece. And after you get a coat or two of milk paint, your preference, I usually like to paint a couple of coats of paint before I hit it with a heat gun. When you hit it with a heat gun, it's going to give it that aged crackle effect. Sometimes I will do it in between coats, but it really doesn't seem to make a difference. So lately I've just been hitting it with a heat gun after I have 2 coats of paint on there, and then it gives it a nice good crackle. Now, if you don't want a crackle, you don't have to use a heat gun. Now, this milk paint is by Fusion Mineral Paint. I also carry Fusion Mineral Paint and Rethunk Junk paint as well on my website. I then took out the new transfer set called Catharina, and I added this transfer, this gorgeous rose transfer, but somehow I didn't get that recorded. So I'm now taking out my aging wax and I'm adding it to the milk paint. Now previously I had already sealed the milk paint with a top coat. I think I used Big Top. And now I'm coming back with the wax. You do have to seal up your transfers. You can either use Big Top, liquid patina, or here I'm using a aging wax just to get down into the crackle to give it a little bit extra dimension. Now, Catharina transfer is absolutely gorgeous. It has these English roses. It's full of roses and it's absolutely gorgeous. I still have several of all of the transfers left. If you've not seen them, you should go check them out. I'll put a link in my description and you'll go check them out. There's 3 new transfers: the Wild Bloomin', the Lost Garden, and then this Catharina transfer set. If you've never used one of these IOD transfers, they're very easy. They come with this little plastic acrylic stick, and you're just going to peel off that white backing, add your transfer directly to your piece, and then you're just going to rub and pull until that transfers directly onto your piece, and then you're just going to rub it in to make sure that it adheres to your piece. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel, and if you haven't let me know which one of your favorites is yet, now would be a good time. And if you've watched this far in the video, I would love for you to give me a rose emoji. At the end of this video, I will have a couple choices of different videos that you can watch, so don't forget to hit one of those and watch my previous videos, and don't forget to let me know which one of these projects is your favorite. If you're in North Georgia, you can find my Iron Orchid Design products and Fusion Mineral Paint at Detail Link in Beaufort, Georgia, just down from the Mall of Georgia. And you can find my DIY paint products at the OCC in Gainesville, Georgia. Thank you so much for watching, and you have a great week.